The Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, please call the roll.
Senators Bridges, Cook, Coram, Court, Crowder, Danielson, Danielson,
Absent.
Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Foote, Gardner, Janal, Gonzalez, Hill, Heisey, Heisey,
Absent.
Holbert, Lee, Lundeen, Marble, Moreno, Pedersen, Briola, Rankin, Rodriguez, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Story, Tate, Todd, Williams, Winter, Woodward, Zenzinger, Danielson. Mr. President.
Here, with 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Woodward, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Mr. President. Guests in the audience, if you'll please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the reading of the Journal of Tuesday, April 9th, 2019 be dispensed with, and that the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Committee reports.
April 9, 2019, Committee on Finance, after Service and Committee Committee following Senate Bill 175, be referred favorably Committee on Appropriations. April 9, 2019, Committee on Finance, after Service and Committee following Senate Bill 205, be referred favorably Committee on Appropriations.
Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 236 and 237, Senate Joint Resolution 7 correctly engrossed, Senate Joint Resolution 7 correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 187 correctly revised, House Bill 1080, 1178, 1217 correctly revised, House Bill 1030 and 1208 correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 106 and 213.
Third reading of bills. Third reading of bills consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, please read the titles to all the bills listed on the third reading's consent calendar.
House Bill 1178 by Representative McLaughlin and Senator Donovan concerning the name simplification of Western State Colorado University to Western Colorado University.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the passage of the one bill on the third reading of bills consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1178.
Is there any discussion on the bill on the third reading consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1178 on third reading final passage on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? Senators Smallwood, Minority Leader. Quorum. Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do ask to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1178.
My apologies, I stand corrected. Are there those no votes? Mr. Minority Leader will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1178. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1178.
Senator Smallwood will be recorded as a no vote on 1178. Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to be recorded as a no vote.
Senator Quorum will be recorded as a no vote on 1178. Senator Marble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1178.
Senator Marble will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1178. With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1178 is passed. Co-sponsors: Senators Bridges, Crowder, Tate, Todd, Priola, Gonzalez, Winter, Rodriguez, Fields, Third reading of bills, final passage. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to House Bill 1217.
House Bill 1217 by Representative Becker and Senators Court and Tate concerning the elimination of the 2% increase in the member contribution rate to the Public Employees Retirement Association for members in the local government division of the association.
Members and guests, I just want to remind you we are on third reading. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1217 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, I just want to underline a point on this bill because I wasn't able to speak on second reading. This is a slight tweak to Senate Bill 200, which we passed last year, which I believe going forward is going to be a landmark piece of legislation for our state's credit rating. And although this technically tweaks that bill, my recollection is this was something that was said last year. We'll address that next year. But the reason I want to come up here and speak towards this and back to Senate Bill 200 is going forward, we need to stick to Senate Bill 200 and not year after year change and tweak for budgetary reasons, so on and so forth, to keep our state on the path to fully funding the unfunded liability that's accrued over the prior decades. So with that, I rise in support of House Bill 1217.
Senator Lundin.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, this bill is a tweak. It's a tweak that says the local division of PARA, which would be fully funded in 14 years, should be allowed to be fully funded in 19 years because that's the deal that was struck. And that's what the bill does. So that is good, honoring the word of a deal that was struck in Senate Bill 200. However, defunding a public pension in America today is tantamount to pouring gasoline on a fire. It is not an appropriate step. It is a movement of irresponsibility that pushes the burden of funding those pensions onto our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, and that is inappropriate. I rise to make this point simply to explain why I will be a no vote on HB 19-1217. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1217 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Minority Leader, Marble, Cook, Smallwood, Lundin, Hill, Crowder, Woodward, Gardner, Heisey, Coram, Rankin, Scott. With a vote of 21 ayes, 14 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1217 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Priola, Pedersen. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to House Bill 1080.
House Bill 1080 by Representative Bockenfeld and Senators Cook and Garcia concerning benefits for first responders with a disability.
Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1080 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1080 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1080 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Danielson, Moreno, Crowder, Lundin, Bridges, Janal, Lee, Sonnenberg, Heisey, Todd, Woodward, Winter, Story, Gonzalez, Gardner, Cook, Tate, Williams, Donovan, Pedersen, Foote, Marble, Scott, Court, Majority Leader, Fields, Quorum, Priola. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 144?
Senate Bill 144 by Senator Zenzinger and Representative Roberts concerning allowing a driver of a motorcycle to proceed past a malfunctioning traffic control signal.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, with much regret, ask for this body to please concur with the House.
Senator Zenzinger, can you please tell us why the Senate would concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 144?
Well, it turns out that the House, in their infinite wisdom, added a third reading amendment. Can you believe that? I mean, what's the deal with that? But that third reading amendment turned out to be highly technical in nature, where they had to cross out the word whenever. So, you know, whatever.
Senator Zenzinger, continue.
So I move that the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 144.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 144. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, that motion is adopted. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 144 on behalf of motorcycles riders across the state.
The motion is for the repassage of Senate Bill 144. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 144 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Senators Priola, Bridges, Cook, Heisey, Sonnenberg, Crowder, Smallwood, Court, Todd, Fields, Tate, Marble. Special order, second reading of bills, consent. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate take up Senate Bills 159, 155, 146, 145, 54, House Bill 1214, House Bill 1128, and House Bill 1023 on special orders consent calendar at the hour of 9:28 a.m.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will take up special orders, which will include Senate Bill 159, 155, 146, 145, 054, and House Bills 1214, 1128, and 1023 at the hour of 0930. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand in recess until 9:30 a.m. while the special orders consent calendar is produced and distributed to the members.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will be in recess. The Senate will come back to order. Special order, second reading of bills, consent. Senator Foote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will resolve itself to the Committee of the Whole for consideration of special orders, consent calendar, and Senator Foote will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. The code rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the titles to all the bills on the special orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar?
Senate Bill 159 by Senators Bridges and Donovan, Representative McCluskey, concerning continuation of the Passenger Tramway Safety Board in connection with implementing some of the recommendations contained in 2018 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies. Senate Bill 155 by Senators Williams and Priola and Representatives Kraft, Tharp, and Snyder, concerning continuation of the State Board of Accountancy and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in 2018 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies. Senate Bill 146 by Senator Pedersen, Representative Kennedy, concerning continuation of the regulation by the Department of Public Health and Environmental entities that provide home care services in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in 2018 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies. Senate Bill 145 by Senator Todd and Representative Valdez A, concerning the continuation of the regulation of dialysis care by the Department of Public Health and Environment. Senate Bill 54 by Senator Crowder and Representative Valdez D, concerning the regulation of demilitarized motor vehicles for the purposes of operation on the highway. Senate Bill 1214 by Representatives Hansen and Senator Rankin, concerning a requirement that the Joint Budget Committee recommend new methods to finance the state's ongoing capital needs. House Bill 1128 by Representatives Kraft, Tharp, and Sane, and Senators Fields and Smallwood, concerning interception in connection therewith, intercepting lottery winnings to pay outstanding court obligations. House Bill 1023 by Representatives Sane and Jackson and Senators Marble and Todd, concerning issuance of driving authorization documents to foster children who are under 18 years of age.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for the adoption of all the bills on the special order second reading of bills consent calendar and their associated committee reports, which includes Senate Bill 159, Senate Bill 155, along with the Business, Labor, and Technology Committee report, Senate Bill 146, along with the Finance Committee report, Senate Bill 145, Senate Bill 54, along with the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report and the Appropriations Committee report, House Bill 1214, and House Bill 1128, as well as House Bill 1023, along with the Transportation and Energy Committee report and the Appropriations Committee report.
Is there any discussion on any of the committee reports? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the reports to all the bills on the special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The committee reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bills on the consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on special orders, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The bills are adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
That's what Twitter is for.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Foote.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has had a number of bills under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee hold bills lead reports that on consideration of tax bills being second thereof makes following recommendation: 1. Senate Bill 159, Senate Bill 155 is amended, Senate Bill 146 amended, Senate Bill 145, Senate Bill 54 is amended, passed second read order, gross place counted for the ring and final passage. House Bill 1214, House Bill 1128, House Bill 1023 is amended, passed second read order, revised place counted for the ring and final passage.
Senator Foote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is for the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 159, Senate Bill 155 as amended, Senate Bill 146 as amended, Senate Bill 145, and Senate Bill 054 as amended, passed on second reading, ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1214, House Bill 1128, House Bill 1023 as amended, passed on second reading, ordered, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate take up consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar, including members of the executive director of the Department of Personnel and Administration, members of the Workers' Compensation Cost Containment Board, members of the Colorado Commission on the Aging, as well as members of the State Historical Society Board of Directors on special orders, governor's appointments consent calendar at the hour of 9:42 a.m.
The motion is that the Senate take up boards and commissions on special orders at the hour of 0942. This requires a 2/3 majority. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and that motion is adopted. The Senate will take up boards and commissions on special orders, governor's appointments, consent calendar at the hour of 0944. The Senate will stand in a brief recess.
Yeah, I didn't actually.
The Senate will come back to order. Members, I want to point you to your calendars, pages 3 and 4, which have the listing of those that we will be considering this morning. Will the clerk please read all of the names on the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Executive Director of the Department of Personnel and Administration, effective immediately for term expiring at the pleasure of the Governor, care of each of Denver, Colorado, appointed member of the Workers' Compensation Cost Containment Board for term expiring December 13, 2021. Megan Marie Strong of Thornton, Colorado, representing employers who have demonstrated good risk management experience with respect to their workers' compensation insurance. Reappointed members of the Colorado Commission on the Aging for term expiring July 1st, 2020. Kathleen Hall, RN, BSN, MS, PhD of Grand Junction, Colorado, served from the Green Party for Congressional District 3 on occasion of the resignation of Deborah K. Bailey of Grand Junction, Colorado, appointed for terms expiring July 1st, 2022. Sean C. Wood, CFP, AFCAP of Evergreen, Colorado, served as a Republican from Congressional District 2, reappointed. Christina St. Tropez Johnson with Colorado, served as Democrat from Congressional District 7, reappointed. Members of the State Historical Society Board of Directors for term expiring July 1st, 2019. Alan S. Roberts, Durango, Colorado, appointed for term expiring July 1st, 2020. Gregory L. Moore of Golden, Colorado, representing the state financial expertise occasioned by the resignation of Albert C. Yates of Denver, Colorado, appointed for terms expiring July 1st, 2021. Tamara Joyce Ward of Denver, Colorado, reappointed. Kathy McLean Finland of Denver, Colorado, reappointed. And Alexander Putzloff of Denver, Colorado, reappointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments on the special orders governor's appointments consent calendar, including the executive director of the Department of Personnel Administration, member of the Workers' Compensation Cost Containment Board, members of the Colorado Commission on the Aging, and members of the State Historical Society Board of Directors.
Is there any discussion? Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I had to come down. We heard about the Colorado Commission on the Aging as well as the Historical Society Board of Directors, and I cannot remember when we've had better boards than this that we've interviewed. These boards are really looking out for the state of Colorado, and they are going in the direction that they need to. And I just thought I would come down and tell you how impressed I was with both of these boards. And I thought that the choices have been very, very adequate, and I just continue to be impressed by their ability. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the adoption of all the governor's appointments listed on the special orders consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, all of the appointments on the special orders consent calendar are confirmed. The following persons are confirmed: the Executive Director of the Department of Personnel and Administration, Kara Vidich; Workers' Compensation Cost Containment Board, Megan Strong; Colorado Commission on Aging, Kathleen Hall, Sean Wood, Christina Johnson; and State Historical Society Board of Directors, Ellen Roberts, Tamara Ward, Kathy Flinnan, Ann Pritzlaff, and Gregory Moore. Conference committees to report.
First report on First Conference Committee on House Bill 1131, the support of Amendments Regross Bill to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Your First Conference Committee appointed on House Bill 1131 concerning requirements to share the wholesale acquisition cost of a drug when sharing information concerning the drug with another party has met reports that is agreed upon the following. The Senate received from its amendments made to the bill as the amendments appear in the revised bill, and the following amendments be substituted therefore. Respectfully submitted. House Committee, Representatives Hawkins Lewis, Chair; Montine. Senate Committee, Senators Winter, Chair; Fields.
Announcements. Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Business, Labor, and Technology Committee, we are caught up and we will not meet this afternoon at 1:30, so enjoy the afternoon off. And may I ask for a moment of personal privilege, Mr. President?
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, today we have the African Leadership Group Day at the Capitol today. This is their second year, and the African Leadership Group consists of people from Denver and the metro area and Aurora, and they do a lot of great work in our community. Not only do they empower women, they do leadership training. They want to be here and understand how the legislative process works. And so it's an honor to have everyone here today. They will be looking for their legislators, so we hope that you will be able to receive them. And if you can join me in welcoming the African Leadership Group today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I too would like to request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I too would like to join my colleague in welcoming the African American Leadership Group to the state capitol. It's always a pleasure to see you around town and to see you in the People's House. I really enjoy the work that you do in the community. I see you around town, I see you at the grocery stores, I see you at the bus stop, I see you in open spaces where you're pushing the strollers of your babies in the strollers, I see you in the church, I see you just out being actively involved in our community. And I just want you to know how much we appreciate the work that you do. I want to make sure that you understand that we welcome you in Arapahoe County in Aurora. The city of Aurora is a city that celebrates diversity, and you add value and richness to our community. And we want you to know that the uniqueness that you bring is helping us thrive as it relates to our economy. I see you getting business loans. I see you operating businesses. I see you working at DIA and in some of our hospitals. I see you everywhere I go. So don't let anyone tell you that you don't belong here, because you do. So I want to say welcome to America, welcome to Colorado, and thank you for all that you do to keep our economy growing and thriving. We appreciate you. Thank you for connecting us globally. I'm wearing this attire today in representation of Africa. And I have never been to Africa, but I want to go there. And every time I talk to you, I get a sense of what it was like for you all to leave that country and to be in America. So continue that dialogue and that conversation with me, because it helps me to understand the richness of your journey from where you were to where you are right now. I appreciate you, and welcome to the state capitol.
Further announcements. Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we added about 8 or 9 more bills to the agenda for the Appropriations Committee. So please refer to page 10 in your calendar. And then in addition to that, there is one more that is not printed in your calendar, which is Senate Bill 143, which will also be heard on Friday. So please refer to your calendar. Thank you.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues and members of the Statutory Revision Committee, the senator from Centennial, the senator from, yep, I see I have his attention. Just wanted to make sure you know, we are unsure of obviously what the weather will hold today or tomorrow. If the Senate operates off of a delayed start tomorrow morning, the Statutory Revision Committee will soldier on, and we will meet 1 hour before convening on the floor. So just make sure you make a note of that. We are on the schedule for 7:30, but if we are delayed, we will meet 1 hour before we come to the floor. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate Health and Human Services Committee, we will meet upon adjournment. We're going to be meeting at, let's say, 10:05. We have 2 bills for consideration and 1 bill that's up for action only. Thank you.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you've excused me for this Friday with the weather and travel logistic uncertainties, may I be excused tomorrow starting at 12 noon?
Senator Scott has consulted, I presume, with the minority leader and majority leader, and will be marked accordingly as excused for tomorrow. Further announcements. Seeing none, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we are, I'm checking the weather, and I know the President is as well. It's looking like the snow is not really going to start until maybe early evening. We are going to plan on having committees as normal. The upon adjournment ones should be fine. The afternoon committees, in speaking with the chairs, I think they want to go ahead and start those committees. If things look like they're taking a turn for the worse pretty quick, they may lay some bills over to get people home. But for now, unless you hear otherwise, just plan to go to committees as normal on the calendar. Mr. President, I move the Senate recess until 12 noon today.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in recess until 1200 today.